My name is Ben Drake, and I'm the Director of Athletics, Phys Ed, and Health, as well as the basketball coach at Jamestown High School. My grandfather was Rod Lind, and he ran the Lind Funeral Home, and growing up I spent some time with him there, and when I got to high school I started working there with him in the summers, and it was during that time when I realized that I wanted to get into the family business and become a funeral director. It was at the end of my junior year of high school when things really changed for me, when I accepted Christ into my life. During that following year is when my grandfather had a sit down with me, and he told me that while he knew that I would make a very good funeral director, he thought I would make an even better coach. I enjoy the work I do each day as an athletic director, but to me, the best part of the day is coming in the gym for a couple hours, and that's really where I find the most joy, and that I really have a passion for that. And that's really where I can affect kids on a more personal level. I try to emulate to my players what a Christian man, father, husband, and professional looks like. And that means also trying where I can to plant seeds of faith, whether that be through discussing my faith, praying before games, playing Christian music here in the gym, and attending community faith-based events as a team. While sometimes it may not take hold right away, I'm hopeful that someday those seeds will bear fruit. I believe that as we grow in our faith, we'll find that we'll have more confidence to live that out before others, both in word and deed. And we're all disciples, and that means being able to lead people to Him wherever we're called to do that. A few years ago, I had this idea of putting faith on the back of our warm-up jerseys before we went to the playoffs. And we had a little saying that went along with it that I would put on the chalkboard in the locker room before games. And although Karen continues to this day to try to take credit that this was her idea, this has also been a vehicle that I've used to be able to share. One way that God worked through me and for my family is when we took in one of my players. He lived with us for almost a year. His mom asked us for our help, and it was not an easy decision, but we prayerfully considered whether or not we should do that. We just felt that we were called to be obedient to God and His needs. Honestly, it wasn't easy, and while some people may think that it wasn't totally successful because he's back living with his mom in Rochester, I'm hopeful that we planted some seeds with him that will affect him later in his life, as being a member of a Christian family for almost a year, and me being able to model for him what a Christian husband and father is, because he's never had a male in his life before. Another way that God has worked through me is with a player of mine a few years back whose father tragically died of cancer during a senior year of high school. They were a really strong Christian family, and it was a very difficult time for them, and it actually continues to be to this day. And I've tried real hard to continue to be a Christian mentor for him during his college years and experiencing the ups and downs of college and being a college basketball player. I also think that as a Christian coach, God expects me to run my program with integrity and to not compromise my morals. And at different times during my career, it's been sacrificing team success in order to discipline a player who's made poor individual decisions, and I think that's important. Last year, I became a part of a group of coaches that started a coaches huddle as part of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, where we met on a regular basis to discuss how we can become better Christian coaches for our athletes. And this year we're going to start an athletes group as well, which I hope can turn into something pretty powerful. Well, you know, the ultimate would be to win a state championship, and we were close once, going all the way to the title game. And again, that's the ultimate dream, I think, for every high school coach and high school player out there, is to be able to do that. But to me, it's really it's the day-to-day stuff. And when you see kids that later years down the road that you see and they tell you about how you affected them as people and as individuals, that really makes me feel the best about coaching. I would be lying if I said I didn't want to be remembered as a very successful and a great coach. We all do, as professionals, want to be successful, but I think that success is a byproduct of what's really important. And to me, the most important thing is that I'm remembered as a Christian, as a mentor, and as a father figure for a lot of my players who grow up in households without fathers. If Syracuse calls, I'll probably listen. But for now, I think that I really feel that God has put me here. He's led Karen and I here together, and to be a part of this community. And we'll stay here as long as God calls us to stay here. And if that, honestly, if that means that He leads us in another direction, I think our hearts are open to that. I don't know if you should tell Karen that, because she probably wants to hear that. She's like ready to move to Africa next week.
Prison under open skies, everything breathing, praising God, in the company of all who love the King. I will dance, I will sing.